So as you probably know, Coachella happened over the weekend. Also, welcome to my second channel where I do whatever the hell I want. And Sabrina Carpenter is currently facing a lot of backlash online because of a comment that she made during one of her performances. I can't show it to you because it looks like her team is copyright striking the clip that's going around, and I'm not taking that chance. But the gist is she hears people in the crowd making a noise, and I'm not going to imitate it because duh. And she's about to play the piano and she stops and looks out into the crowd, and I'm sorry, but this is the face of just disgust and annoyance. And you know what it made me think of when I saw it? It made me think of that tweet or whatever that's like, white women will look at you like they can't believe that you're free. That is exactly what I'm seeing in her eyes here. And she's like, what is that? What's going on? And then the people in the crowd who are making the noise respond,
"Is that what you're doing? I don't like it. That's your culture, is yodeling? Is this Burning Man? What's going on?" This is weird.
And there is a point, I'll show it to you, where she smiles a little bit as if she's trying to pass it off as a joke, but I really don't think she was joking. To me, it felt like literally being mean and then trying to force that it's humorous, but it didn't seem humorous at all. She seemed genuinely irritated. And I want you to remember how I just described all of this to you. So then the backlash starts. During Coachella, someone did a zagrut. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that. I've never heard it said out loud. An Arab cheer during Sabrina Carpenter's set. Sabrina said she didn't like it. The woman replied it's part of her culture. Sabrina then asked if it was yodeling and even asked if this was Burning Man. So here is the problem. There are people in obviously over the internet, people who like Sabrina, people who just don't give a fuck about respecting races and cultures that are different than their own, and will always jump at the chance to defend a white woman or a white person in general when they do something racially or culturally insensitive. I was looking at r/pop culture chat. Lemmings. There's mashed potatoes in between your ears. And they were so blatantly ignoring the actual root of the problem. They were saying things like, it's okay to not like aspects of other cultures. Yeah, it is okay. That's not what the conversation is. First of all, you don't have to say it. Why go out of your way to say it? You can also think that people are ugly. But if you go up to them and call them ugly, you're a fucking asshole. Why are we pretending that we don't understand why that's rude? People were saying, oh, well, maybe she didn't hear them, but she heard them say that it's part of their culture. And then the other problem is passing it off as yodeling, as if that's funny, making fun of it. Even if it wasn't yodeling, yodeling is part of a culture, so you're really making fun of two different cultures. Literally just say, oh, okay, and start the damn set. Why do you have to comment on it? I don't know. She should have stopped after she said it was her culture. She didn't need to call it weird. I've seen lots of racist comments on other subs saying this was creepy or heckling. Those people are clearly very uncultured, because this is just a very common equivalent of people wooing in a lot of other cultures. And that is such a great point. And that's another thing that the whites and their crusaders are latching onto, that it's suddenly everyone gives a shit about etiquette, even though this is a fucking concert and not a symphony. It's not theater. It is extremely normal to make noise at a concert, to be loud and celebratory and having fun at a fucking concert. If you would not have been, this wouldn't even be a thing if it was just people going woo or yeah. But all of a sudden, because it's not Western centric, because it's not white centric, it's a big fucking hullabaloo. People irritate me. Now let's get into how Sabrina responded. Sabrina Carpenter apologizes for comment during Coachella performance. She's quoting a tweet that says, Sabrina saying that she doesn't like a cultural Arabic cheer. This is so insensitive and Islamophobic. I'm very disappointed in her. She said, my apologies. I didn't see this person with my eyes and couldn't hear clearly. My reaction was pure confusion, sarcasm, and not ill-intended. Could have handled it better. Now I know what a zagruta is. I welcome all cheers and yodels from here on out. So you say that you couldn't hear clearly, yet when the person in the crowd said, it's my culture, you responded back, it's your culture to yodel. And that's the most important part for you to hear. And you responded incorrectly. So it wasn't really a problem that you couldn't hear clearly. You literally repeated it back to them. It's your culture. And then you went on to make fun of it. That's the problem. You could have literally just said, I shouldn't have said what I shouldn't have tried to make fun or make light of someone's culture, and it wasn't my place to try to be sarcastic, even though I don't think it was really that sarcastic. It seemed very mean-spirited. You seemed dead ass, girl. 100 white women versus accountability. And then she still goes on to not really be serious, which people do not like when you're making an apology. I welcome all cheers and yodels from here on out. You should have left it at now I know what is a Gruta is. And if you absolutely had to say something else, you could have said, I now welcome all means of participation or celebration at my shows from here on out. I welcome all different cultural, whoop whoops or whatever. How hard would that have been to say? With you, with you, with you, with you, with you. I'm singing Justin Bieber's version. Justin Bieber is probably my favorite problematic person. Nothing says couldn't hear clearly like repeating back what the person said out loud, then saying it's weird. She should have, I don't know, I cannot understand why she didn't focus on that part. You very blatantly heard them say it's culture, and then you called their culture weird in front of thousands, millions of people actually probably now have seen it. And like, that's embarrassing. And it's like I said before, it was not coming off as just like lightheartedly sarcastic. You seemed genuinely irritated and disgusted and just done with it. And what does seeing the person have anything to do with what she said? That is a very great point. You don't have to see who's in the crowd. There's really nothing more to say about that. And then this whole thing is how I heard about her BBC comment, which I think this establishes a pattern and not just isolated incidents. At BBC Radio 1's Big Weekend 2024, Sabrina Carpenter joked that the BBC asked her to keep her nonsense song outro PG, so like family friendly. She responded with, BBC, I wish I had it in me. There's a double meaning if you dig deep. Like, I wish I had it in me to keep it family friendly, but also I wish I had figure it out. I'll just tell you that the first B stands for big. And this is someone who, have you ever even dated a person of color? I'm pretty sure she's only dated white men. Yeah, she has only reportedly dated white men. So you don't even mean it when you say BBC, I wish I had it in me. That is just a thing that white women say and do to be edgy, or even if they do go as far as to like pursue a black man much of the time. And this is like known. This is like a known thing, at least in the States, in certain parts of the States. If she does, she's trying to like really piss off probably her racist dad. And the simple act of dating a person of color or a black person or saying something sexual about them does not make you not racist. In fact, I would say the exact opposite, because I can't say this word. Fetishization is not inclusion. It's just a different branch of racism, because then you're just reducing black men to sexual objects and not even keeping them in your circles as people, as human beings, as your friends, as your partners, as your whatever. Like, in your mind, you're just making an edgy joke because you think there's something edgy about associating with a black guy. And then now here we are, 2026, and you're calling a piece of Arabic culture weird and going, I don't like it. Anyway, and if this video gets any attention, I already know what the comments are going to be. It's going to be white people or their knights in shining armor coming into the comments, probably saying racist shit to me, saying it's not that big a deal, or she's not racist, you guys just make everything about race, or you're just a hater, or blah 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 blah, any of the other stupid brain dead things that racists and self-loathing people of color like to say. However, that doesn't change the fact that this is at best racially insensitive, at worst straight up racist, and considering that it's not her first instance of such behavior, that's really not a good sign. And furthermore, when people say fucked up things or are just mean, especially in the context of race, ethnicity, culture, we're allowed to be haters. Hello, anybody home? Like, I like a Sabrina Carpenter bop as not as much as the next person. Bedcam is my jam, but you will never see me overlooking unsavory behavior just because I sometimes find someone funny or I like their art or their performances or what have you. Let's be adults. Let's be normal first and foremost.